Namaste, Pranam, Gita Dhyanam. Om Parthaya Pratibodhitam Bhagavata Narayanena Swayam Vyasena Gratitam Purana Munina Madhye Mahabharatam Advaitam Vritavarshinim Bhagavatim Ashtadashadhyayinim Ambatva Manusandadhami Bhagavad Gite Bhavatveshinim. Oh Bhagavad Gita, with which Lord Narayana himself gave enlightenment to Partha. The ancient sage Vyasa included it in the Mahabharata. O goddess, showerer of the nectar-like knowledge of non-dualism contained in your 18 chapters, O my affectionate mother, the destroyer of rebirth, I meditate upon thee. Krishna Vandana. Vasudevasutam devam kansachanuramardanam devaki paramanandam krishnam vande jagadgurum. Son of Vasudeva, the slayer of Kansa and Chanur, extreme delight for Mother Devaki, O Lord Krishna, the supreme teacher of the universe, my salutations to you. Srimad Bhagavad Gita, the Bhakti Yoga, and Sri Krishna is telling us all the alternatives. If you can, you do this. If you can't do this, do this. If you can't do this, do this. If you can't do this, do this. So many alternatives Krishna has been offering to his beloved children. The last two verses that we read, he said, you practice, Abhyasa yoga of putting your mind and intellect on me and you will succeed. Sri Krishna says, you will succeed. But then again, if you are not able to do that also, that was the third alternative, in fact, Sri Krishna had told us, of Abhyasa yoga. But then Sri Krishna says, even if you are not able to do that too, if you are not able to do the practice of placing your mind and intellect on me, because that itself is a great activity, placing your mind and intellect on me. It will run away, again bring it back. Intellect will get fixed. Intellect, that is not an issue. Problem is with the mind. Now, if you are not able to do that, then Krishna had told us that start doing all your worldly activities, your works, your assignments, your tasks, whatever you are doing, start doing it for my sake. Don't consider them to be your work. Don't consider them to be your project. That mat karma paramo bhava. That is what Sri Krishna had told. Start doing actions for my sake. And when you start performing actions for my sake, madarthamapi karmani, you will attain to perfection. Kurvan siddhim avapsyasi. He has assured us. But then again, we are not able to do even that. Then what to do? Then Krishna says, don't get disheartened, my child. Here is another way. And that's what he told us last time. Athaitadapya shaktosi kartum madhyogam ashritaha. If you are not able to do even that of performing your actions, your works, your tasks for my sake, doing work for my sake, which again will give you perfection, which again will bring you to me. If you are not able to do that, then madhyogam ashritaha. Take refuge in me. Mat yogam ashrita. Surrender to my divine, wonderful yoga. Mat yogam ashrita. Take surrender. You come under my tutelage. You be my child. Sir and sarva karma phalatyagam tataha kuru yatatmavan. And surrendering yourself to me, taking refuge in me, getting rid of yourself, yatatmavan, fully controlling yourself, sarva karma phalatyaga. Just renounce all the fruits of the actions that you are doing. Renounce all the expectations of whatever you are going to get in return. Don't have any thought of that. Don't have any focus on what I am going to get back in return after doing this work. That is going to create a barrier of you coming to me. So, forget about the karma phala. Forget about the fruits of action. Renounce that. Tyaga. You just get rid of that desire of attaining fruits after performing that action and taking shelter in me. You start performing work in a selfless manner. No self should come in doing that work. So that was another alternative Sri Krishna gave us. So today let us see what Sri Krishna has further to tell us regarding the indications of progress in spiritual practices. How do we realize that yes, we are progressing forward? Ultimately, some of the alternatives we have to choose, isn't it? Now, having taken that alternative, whichever alternatives Sri Krishna has told us, we have to, yes, choose one. These are like that multiple choice answers here. One, all of them are going to get us towards the Lord. Now, which one befits us? That is up to us. Any one we choose, any one of these alternatives that Sri Krishna has provided, we choose, we become one with our Lord. So how that which of those different kind of alternatives that Sri Krishna has told, and how these different alternatives, how they compare against each other. So let us see which is the best for us, and then decide, okay, the Lord, my dear friend Krishna, my dear the friend, philosopher and guide Krishna, my dear charioteer Krishna, this is the alternative that I am going to stick to, the alternative which you have told. So in this 12th shloka of the 12th adhyaya, Sri Krishna is telling us which are how these different alternatives they compare against each other. Sri Krishna is telling, śreyo jñānamabhyāsājjñānāddhyānaṃ viśiṣyate dhyanāt karma maflat tyāgāt śhanti nirantaram. Sri Krishna has given us so many different paths to follow. Jnana, then Abhyasa, Dhyana. For first is knowledge. Through knowledge we can become one with the Lord. Through the studies of scriptures and getting to know my oneness with the Lord, through that knowledge, through that jnana, we can become one with the Lord. That is one path. Then another alternative Sri Krishna had provided, told us very recently was Abhyasa yoga. Practice of putting mind on me. Practice putting mind on me incessantly with patience and perseverance. Don't get disheartened if once or twice or 10 times or 100 times mind comes out of me and goes to the worldly objects of enjoyments. Don't get disheartened. Again and again, make it an effort. Make it as a practice. Make it abhyasa. So, jnana is one path. Abhyasa is another path. And dhyana is another path. Like between the devotion and the meditation, Sri Krishna had told that through meditation also, through meditating on me also, you can reach me. But yes, that path is extremely difficult. That also he had told us. That kleshaha adhikataras tesham avyaktam paripasate. Worshipping avyakta through meditation is absolutely difficult. Kleshaha adhikatara tesham. But that also is the way. That also is the way. And now Sri Krishna is telling us how one path relates to the other path. Śreyo jñānamabhyāsājjñānāddhyānaṃ. That Shreya is better indeed, superior indeed. Better indeed is knowledge than Abhyasa. Abhyasa Yoga, Sri Krishna has told us. Sri Krishna says knowledge is, yes, better than Abhyasa, because Abhyasa we have to do it hundreds and thousands of times. How many times our mind keeps on getting away from the Lord and running and rushing and just be after all those objects of worldly enjoyments again and again and again. So Abhyasa is extremely difficult, but yes, Dhyana is superior to that Abhyasa. That is what Sri Krishna says. Better indeed is knowledge than the formal Abhyasa, from the constant practice of pulling back the mind from worldly objects and putting it back on the Lord. Compared to that, the knowledge is, yes, definitely better, Krishna says. Jnānāddhyānaṃ viśiṣyate. But compared to jnana, compared to knowledge, the meditation certainly excels. Because meditation is not a hard study. Like to get jnana, we have to even make an effort to study, isn't it? We have to read so many scriptures, Upanishads, and all those Puranas, all those Samhitas, and then get the knowledge of that Brahma Jnana. Then get that knowledge of the Atma Jnana. Lot of effort. That effort is definitely lesser than Abhyasa Yoga of bringing back the mind ceaselessly from worldly objects to the Lord's feet. But compared to that, the better is jnana. Study of scriptures, the Vedas and the Upanishads is still easier than that Abhyasa Yoga. But compared to that study, compared to that knowledge, gain the methods of gaining that knowledge, Sri Krishna says, Dhyana is still better. Shreyo hit jñānam abhyasāt jñānāt dhyanam viśiṣyate. So, lowermost on the hierarchy of these steps of reaching of these paths of reaching the God is, the lowermost is Abhyasa. Extremely difficult. Next path, jnana. Getting the knowledge, the study of scriptures, Upanishads, and then getting that understanding of me being one with the Lord. That is superior. Even superior to that, Sri Krishna says, is dhyana, the meditation. Meditation on the avyakta akshara avyaya aspect of the Lord, the formless aspect of the Lord, the unmanifest aspect of the Lord. But even Lord says that was difficult at that time, or point of time when we read that shloka, that kleshodhika tarastesham, he said, avyakta paripasate. But it is that path excels the path of knowledge. Path of knowledge excels the path of constant practice, Abhyasa Yoga. Then, dhyanat karma phalatyagaha. Shri Krishna says, even better than meditation is karma phalatyaga. Now we know the hierarchy where all these paths, they position themselves. Extremely difficult is the Abhyasa Yoga. Then is the attainment of knowledge. Then is meditative practices. But Sri Krishna says, Dhyanat karma phalatyaga. Compared to dhyana, compared to the meditative practices, compared to that constant contemplation on the unmanifest aspect of the Lord, much easier is karma phalatyaga. Because why? And that reason Sri Krishna is giving him Tyagat Shanti Nirantaram. Once you renounce that karma phala, once we renounce that fruit of action, there is contented peace. Tyagat Shanti Nirantaram. It is unending peace, if we want unending peace. if we want everlasting peace, then karma phala tyagaha is the only alternative in these four paths. The jnana, abhyasa, dhyana and karma phala tyaga. Tyaga shanti nirantaram. That you get that shanti, everlasting peace, immediately. It doesn't take time. The moment you give up that attachment to the fruit of action. Nirantaram is, there are two meanings. One is unending, everlasting, and also Nirantaram. It doesn't take long. Immediately we get that peace of mind. The moment we cut off ourselves from the expectations from the work that we are doing. No expectations, no fruits of actions, and mere bliss, mere contentedness, total shanti. So that is what now Sri Krishna has told us. He has given us all those alternatives, and among those alternatives, now Krishna has told us which is the best. Now let us think ourselves. Which suits us best? Is it the Jnana Marga suits us best? Is it the Abhyasa Marga suits us best? Is it the Dhyana Marga suits us best? Or is it the Karma Phala Tyaga Marga fits us best? So depending on our attitude, depending on our inclinations, let us choose a path. And all these paths, Sri Krishna has told us, all these paths take us to our ultimate objective. Better indeed is knowledge than Abhyasa. Better than knowledge is meditation. Better than meditation is the renunciation of the fruit of action. Peace immediately, the everlasting peace immediately follows Tyaga. As simple as that. So let us see now which of these ways we are going to adopt on Sri Krishna's advice. Now, Sri Ramakrishna's a beautiful parable on this. Sri Ramakrishna has told a beautiful parable in the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna. He said, a kite snatched a piece of meat from butcher's shop and flew to a branch of a tree to feast on it. You know this bird that soars high up in the sky. That kite took a piece of meat from butcher's shop and took it and sat on one tree, thinking of, okay, let me enjoy this piece of meat that I have taken from the butcher shop. Let me have a feast. Let me have a grand gala party. But immediately ensued a scramble when some other birds swooped to loot it. He was just thinking that, okay, let me have now grand party. I have taken a beautiful piece of meat from butcher shop. No sooner he sat there on that branch of tree, whole of other birds, they chased him. They also wanted a share from that piece. The kite flew from tree to tree, but there was no escape from the raiders. All those other birds also, they were chasing the kite. Wherever he went, the birds also chased him. They also wanted that piece, some share from that piece of meat. Then what happened? To avoid this botheration, it let go the meat and perched quiet upon a bough. He just dropped that piece of meat. And quietly sat on one branch. A sage who saw this scene learnt a lesson from that kite. The sage who was watching all this fun, that how that kite was being chased by all other birds, and finally when that kite dropped that piece of meat, then there was no more chase, there was no more trouble by all those birds. Then all those birds, they just left that kite in his own solitude, in his own peace. And that sage who saw this, he learnt it as a lesson. He learnt it as a great teaching of tranquility is born of renunciation. The moment that kite threw away the piece of that meat, he was enjoying the peace. He was enjoying the tranquility. He was enjoying that contentedness, that absolute bliss, as if no more botheration by all those chasers, all those who were after that kite, after that piece of meat. Just he renounced that piece of meat, and there was everlasting. And immediately that piece didn't come. It take long to come to him. The moment he dropped that piece of meat, peace came to him. That is as immediate as anything he can get in his life. And therefore Sri Krishna says that Tyaga, you get everlasting peace immediately, nirantaram. It doesn't take any more time to get that peace the moment we start renouncing the fruits of actions. So let us now think about it, what Sri Krishna has told us, that which is the easiest and the most befitting paths for us. Whether it is jnana, whether it is abhyasa, whether it is dhyana, or whether it is karma phala tyagaha. Well, it seems that karma phala tyagaha is as easy as dropping that piece of meat to attain the ultimate peace immediately. With that, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Sri Krishna Arpanamastu. Jai Sri Ramakrishna. Jai Thakur. Jai Ma. Jai Swami.